Monday, October 26. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. We begin with our team coverage of the heavy rains and flooding with the story of a dramatic rescue. Residents of an assisted living facility in Newton, St. Catherine had to be rescued Sunday after floodwaters swept through their facility. More from our reporter Marlon Samuels.
A dramatic video circulating on the internet shows residents of the Faith View nursing home in St. Catherine lying on makeshift beds in several inches of water.
We are doing everything in our powers to try and to rescue the people from the current situation that is facing them at the Faith View nursing home. All help is needed at this moment. All hands are needed on deck to help these indigent folks who are unable to help themselves. So this is in Newton, Clarks Avenue, St. Catherine. So we are at the moment transporting their stuff to the church facilities, at which I am the pastor, and we are going to move all of these folks to that facility because they need urgent help. Urgent assistance is needed for the Faith View nursing home in Newton, St. Catherine. There's a pond to the back of the property that has overflown its banks. So you can see the pond to the very back of the property that have overflown its banks, and it's wreaking havoc on the citizens of the Faith View nursing home in Newton. I am Pastor Dean Reed, and we are crying out for help for the members of this community.
PBCJ News understands that all the residents were safely evacuated. For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
October usually averages over 10 inches of rainfall. The heavy rains resulted in flooding and travel disruption to several parishes across Jamaica. Carl Francis has more in this report.
The heavy rains are posing challenges to motorists in Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. Pedestrians have also been hard-pressed to cross flooded areas. There has been a joining of hands by community members to assist each other cross flooded areas. Meanwhile, first responders working in St. Andrew and St. Thomas are facing big challenges. Rising flood waters, limited resources such as equipment and personnel, all compounded by the threat of more rain due to a persistent trough of low pressure west of Jamaica and the impact from newly formed tropical storm Zeta. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Carol Francis.
Outer bands from a tropical wave Zeta passed over the island on Sunday, bringing heavy rains that caused island-wide flooding. And we're not out of the woods yet. The Meteorological Service office says a low-pressure trough will linger in our vicinity for the next few days and is expected to generate intermittent periods of rain. Therefore, the flash flood warning has been extended for low-lying and flood-prone areas. The warning has been extended to St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland, effective until 5 p.m. Monday. Projections are for mostly cloudy conditions with periods of showers and thunderstorms, which could be heavy at times, to continue across sections of all parishes. Due to the extended periods of rainfall across the island over the past few days, there is a high degree of ground saturation. As a result, landslides and flooding are likely. A flash flood warning means flooding has been reported or will occur shortly. Motorists and pedestrians should not attempt to cross flooded roadways or other low-lying areas, as strong currents are likely. Residents in low-lying areas should be on alert for rising waters and be ready to move quickly to higher ground. The heavy weekend rains have affected several communities across Jamaica, causing flooding, landslides, and roadblocks. In East Rural St. Andrew, some residents are stranded after heavy rains flooded a section of several communities. Communication manager at the National Works Agency, NWA, Stephen Shaw, is reporting that 11 parishes have been affected by flooding and landslides. 17 roads in St. Andrew, St. Thomas, St. Catherine and Clarendon have been impacted by heavy rains since Thursday night.
The road through Smithville along the Mokoto Frankfield Road, also in Clarendon. We also would have seen significant flooding on stretches leading from Portland to St. Thomas.
The Jamaica Public Service, JPS, says its teams are working to restore service to customers in the shortest possible time. There were widespread power outages on Sunday as a result of the persistent rains affecting the island. Work to restore electricity was hampered by the continued rain. Affected areas included Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Westmoreland, and St. James. Parents and guardians in Somerset, St. Andrew are calling for help for their children to attend online classes. They say many students are not equipped with tools to access online classes, and even if they do, there is limited access to the internet. As we see in this next report, the situation has been made worse by the heavy rains. A roadblock, evidence of a landslide in recent rains. It's just one of several issues being faced by residents of the Somerset community in St. Andrew. Longtime resident Lynette Johnson says vehicular access has been an on and off issue for years.
Every time rainfall, we have a bad road. Right now, the stone you drop down before election, and all along the stone don't move from the yard gate. And it cannot stay there because vehicle cannot pass it. So we have to come and stop right here, so take off the goods and carry home. So we need the stone them to move, and we need the road them to fix because it is very bad.
Men from the community have been doing what they can to remove the debris. They say students have been using the road to get to areas to access the internet. Many do not have the service at home.
It's school time now, online classes, and we don't have any access to the internet. We don't have a laptop, and you have to buy the data put on. By the time one day it is finished and the student cannot complete their work. We don't have any road. This is a road to go out and coming in, and this is a roadblock.
We cannot work without the internet. The children are not on part. Some of them don't have no part. This is my grandson under 1 year. He's friends, but there's no internet, no from March. Children are not having a tablet to use. System broke down. Children cannot work that way there.
The minister said they will be providing school with tablets and so forth. However, they said that they are to be dispatched to students on part. My daughter is not on part. I have a big challenge with the internet. Pbcj not working, CVM not working. And they have classes that go on those stations. She can't have access to it either. All 3 weeks, no internet, so she cannot do any online classes. We are having a big problem, so they need to do something about it.
Meantime, the Education Ministry and eLearning Jamaica Company Limited commenced distribution of 40,000 tablets and laptops for PATH students on October 2. Students who are not on PATH program are set to benefit from the one laptop or tablet per child initiative. Launched by the Education Ministry, the project calls on corporate Jamaica, the diaspora and NGOs to donate funds or tools to put electronic devices in the hands of students. A fresh wave of COVID-19 cases across the United States and Europe has dampened oil prices. Gabriel Thompson gives us this and all the market data in the business report.
In Friday's trading session, the JSE combined index advanced by 649 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 85 stocks, of which 36 advanced, 30 declined, and 19 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 18 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Students Living Jamaica, 1834 Investments Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company. Stocks declined for Burrito Investments Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica, and Blue Park Group Limited. Trading firm were CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares, Siboney Group Limited, and Dermont Trading Company Limited 2021 preference shares. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with over 30 million units, followed by Radio Jamaica Limited with over 20 million units, and Proven Investments Limited US dollar with 1.4 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Friday, October 23, ended trading at $146.74. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $112.62. The pound sterling traded for $193.12, and the euro ended trading at $175.23. Oil prices fell on Monday, extending last week's losses as increasing coronavirus cases in the United States and Europe raised worries about energy demand, while Libya's fast-growing production also weighed on prices. Brent crude futures fell 80 cents to $42.97 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures dropped 82 cents to settle at $39.03 a barrel. And that's it for this edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
In regional news, Guyana's Police Commissioner Nigel Hoppy on Friday underscored the role that the police will continue to play in educating citizens about the new coronavirus pandemic and also ensuring that they follow the country's health and safety guidelines.
The police force today received a quantity of face masks and a monetary donation of $99,000 from the Private Sector Commission to further support its role in fighting the coronavirus pandemic. The police commissioner said the force will be stepping up its engagement with the public through education.
As we know, Operation Scobie Curve was recently launched, and in collaboration with the Guyana Defense Force, the Guyana Police Force has continued to work together with that organization as a team for us in the first instance to sensitize members of the community of the importance of them adhering to the measures that are in place. We continue as a team up until today to work in each area, each region of our country to ensure that persons adhere to the 4 E's, which is engagement, encouragement, enforcement, which is our enforcement basically is our last measure that we want to administer.
Echoing the sentiments of the police commissioner while congratulating the force for its work during the pandemic, Chairman of the Private Sector Commission Nicholas Boyer pleaded with the public to be supportive of the role of the police force.
We want to encourage members of the public to respect and work with the police force on the public health ordinance. COVID-19 is a very serious pandemic that is affecting the world, and I think now we're into millions of deaths worldwide, and in Guyana we're above 3,000 cases. We'd encourage all members of the population to follow the guidelines as set by the Ministry of Public Health as well as the international agencies such as the WHO and PAHO, and to wear your mask and social distance.
Guyana recorded its first case of coronavirus back in March, and the numbers have never stopped climbing ever since then. There are now more than 900 active cases in the country.
The Tourism Ministry in the Bahamas has entered a public-private partnership that will give the country access to as many as 3 million rapid antigen tests. The tests will be provided at a low cost per unit. This news comes as the date approaches for change to travel protocol into the Bahamas that will see more testing for entry. The island's tourism minister says it is nerve-wracking getting all the necessary tests and measures put in place to welcome people to the country. Kyle Walkin reports.
Logistically difficult, and so we're working through it as best as we can to get in place people who are going to perform the tests. You have to get the test, you have to distribute the test, you have to upload the results of the test to a new platform. All of that is coming together, but it's a little nerve-wracking, I have to say.
The tourism minister telling Our News getting the measures in place to have everything in set for the change in travel protocol to the Bahamas is difficult, but a challenge government has to face head on. Come November 1st, the current mandatory 14-day quarantine for those coming into the Bahamas will be discontinued and replaced with a more stringent regime of testing. The new protocols will require visitors and returning residents to obtain an RT-PCR swab test no more than 7 days prior to travel to the Bahamas. In addition, they will take a rapid antigen test upon arrival and another on day 4 if they stay longer than 4 days. Diagler was quite candid in acknowledging that the vacation-in-place term used for quarantine didn't work.
We had quarantining in place. That made the destination very unattractive. No one wanted to come to the Bahamas and go into a mandatory 14-day quarantine. So what we've attempted to do was to replace that quarantine with a series of testing. So you test before arrival, 7 days before arrival, you test on arrival, and you test after arrival. And while that sounds easy, as I just described it, it's logistically very difficult to implement. So we're in the throes of trying to implement that policy. As you can imagine, the country is an archipelagic one. It's not a single island with a single port of entry. There are multiple entries. People come in by pleasure craft, they come in by private plane, they come in by commercial jet.
When the vacation-in-place plan was announced, government had set a date of October 15th for the reopening of the tourism sector. However, with some of the major hotels refusing to open amid a high number of daily confirmed cases, Diagler says that date didn't work out as planned. So the goal is now November 1st.
You have to set a date. You have to execute. Probably be a little bumpy on the first couple of days as you work out all the kinks. But we're hoping that, sort of the first week into November, we are humming along as smoothly as we can.
Atlantis, Paradise Island, nor Bahamar have announced dates for reopening, although officials of both resorts hope to reopen before the end of the year. Diagler says while he knows the amount of testing to be done is not desired for travelers, this is the new norm for now.
What we're attempting to do here in the Bahamas is to implement our regime of testing. But understand, it's an impediment to travel. A lot of people don't want to travel to destinations where they get tested. They don't want to have to get a health visa. They don't want to have to bother. And so that is why world travel is down because of all these new requirements. But the Bahamian people, I'm sure, are anxious that you don't want to open the floodgates and let all untested travelers into your country without some sort of regime being in place.
The countdown is on for vendors and beachgoers in Trinidad and Tobago as they eagerly await Monday's reopening of the beaches across the country. Crystal Wilson tells us that major preparation was underway at Maracas Beach on Sunday as most vendors look forward to kickstarting their businesses which were affected by COVID-19 restrictions.
Come Monday, October 26th, the sight of empty beaches will be only but a memory. A spike in COVID-19 cases in August this year resulted in Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announcing a rollback in several COVID-19 restrictions. Among them, beaches were closed to members of the public effective August 16th. 2 months later, and a reported decline in sales, the Prime Minister announced on Saturday that effective Monday, persons will be free to go to the beaches once more. On the heels of the announcement, TTT News caught up with vendors on Maracas Bay as they prepared their businesses for activity once more after their period of downtime. John Gibbs of Rita's Bake and Shark Hut told TTT News he was elated when he heard the Prime Minister's announcement.
I am happy because I was fed up at home. I miss up here.
Mr. Gibbs is not certain of what to expect come Monday, but he remains grateful for the opportunity to return to work.
You mightn't get a big crowd, as always the first day, and then everybody else had to go back out to work. So hopefully, whatever the Father prepare for us, we'll accept it.
Other vendors share Mr. Gibbs' views. Melissa of Asha's Bake and Shark said sales were poor during the downtime and she's looking forward to seeing people on the beach once again.
We are excited to know that, the beach is going to be open back because sales was cut down really bad, right? Almost 90%, right? And we look forward to patrons coming in from tomorrow.
Meanwhile, cleaning, ensuring refrigerators are well stocked and food preparation are all underway. Crystal Wilson, TTT News.
In sports, we bowl off with cricket. The slowing of global cricket due to the ongoing pandemic has dented the coffers of Cricket West Indies CWI. However, the body has tentative plans to have international cricket return to the Caribbean as early as the first quarter of 2021. President Ricky Skerritt says the main obstacle to be hurdled would be to carve out a biosecure environment for matches to be played. We get more in this Newsroom Guyana report.
The International Cricket Council future tour schedule lists Sri Lanka for a tour to the Caribbean in February-March 2021, which consists of 2 tests, 3 one-day internationals and 3 T20s. Skerritt told Sports Max TV in a recent interview they are producing a draft schedule for regional international cricket.
The first regional cricket that we're proposing is next year, the Super 50, at the end of January. So we're not proposing any regional cricket. We're not hosting any international cricket before I think it's Sri Lanka. Forgive me, I don't have the details at my fingertips here, but which will be around February or somewhere. We go to Bangladesh in January, February, and then we have 3 teams coming spread more towards the summer rather than the early part of the year. We have Sri Lanka, South Africa, and Australia. So we hope to publish all of that, Lance, in the next couple of weeks as we begin to fine-tune venues and so on.
The Caribbean Premier League was played to great success in a bubble as all players and officials stayed at one hotel in Trinidad and Tobago, and matches were held at 2 venues. No confirmed cases of COVID-19 was reported from any player or official.
The problem is where is suited to host, where can we create the protocols, including the biosecure bubble that we spoke about. And so a number of changes have to be looked at, a number of options. But at the local level, we just listened to the presidents of the various territorial boards speak about their efforts to restart local cricket. And I'm happy to say that in certainly more than half of the territories, local cricket is at least preparation, net sessions, academies, practice sessions for the franchises and so on, is beginning.
Another issue lies with traveling within the region and the varying restrictions some countries have in place.
In terms of regional air transport and the ability to move players around and deal with the restrictions, that is not something that we could look towards for at least until about towards the end of the first quarter next year is what we're hoping.
The cancellation of the 2020 itinerary has impacted CWI revenues significantly, forcing the Antigua-based governing body to make reductions in their expenditure. CWI has not staged an international home series since January, when Ireland toured for 3 one-day internationals and T20s. CWI Chief Executive Officer Johnny Grave had stated the regional 4-day competition would be adjusted, with that tournament tentatively set to start just before or at the Easter holidays after West Indies host Sri Lanka in March. For the Newsroom, Akim Green.
And that's the news on behalf of our hard-working production team. Pleasant day.